Chapter 1221. The Grand Formation of the Enduring Samsara. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was still alive, his comrades heaved a sigh of relief. A trap. That's indeed a trap. The great monarch of the Jin kingdom did not appear even at the first battle. To think that he would elect to conceal himself to ambush Master Wushuang. Hardly the conduct befitting a king. Huge roars of anger and indignant shoutings arose within the deep of the battle fortress. The palace masters of the Green Fire world immediately convened to discuss their plans. With incredible restorative powers of his own coupled with the help of the Jiyu king, Jian Wushuang required only a short period to heal himself with a new arm fully regrown. Palace Master Yun. I am afraid no one is better than you in the skills of using magical formations. Do you have any inkling as to what that black and white vortex is? The Samsara Temple Master sat in his throne and asked, his deep voice rumbling with concern. The rest of the Palace Masters present immediately turned to look at Palace Master Yun. Palace Master Yun was one of the oldest entities in the Green Fire world. Long had he been deep in delving into the arcane skills and masteries of using magical barriers and formations. Indeed, there was no better person than he who knew more about magical formations. Palace Master Yun frowned as he raked his mind for answers to the inquiry of the Temple Master. It took quite some time before he uttered, the black and white swirling mass is a mixture of two different energies of opposing polarities. The conjurer of the mass has harnessed both energies to create a revolving cycle that consumes and breaks apart both air and space around it. That is indeed a magical formation. More importantly, it looks oddly alike to a formation I have once read about in an ancient codex, the Grand Formation of the Enduring Samsara. Yes, it looks almost the same. The Grand Formation of the Enduring Samsara? This sent a shudder across the crowd of palace masters present. Yes. That swirling mass of black and white color is indeed the Grand Formation of the Enduring Samsara. Jian Wushuang's voice came suddenly. The Jiyu king had earlier recognized the spinning vortex. This is bad. Woe is upon us if that is really the Grand Formation that you spoke of. Palace Master Yun's voice grew deep and hoarse. The ancient codex that I have once read is actually chanced upon by experts of the Green Fire Palace somewhere from this vast battlefield. Despite having recorded many unique and powerful magical formations, much of the codex has been damaged and scattered with missing chapters and pages. The descriptions of this formation in the codex is incomplete. But from the pieces of fragmental information remaining, it is safe to conclude that the Grand Formation is indeed terrible and dangerous to us all. The swirling vortex might seem ordinary and harmless, and even a Dao master may easily destroy it. But once completed, the vortex will increase into a gargantuan size in only 2 hours. By then, there will be no ways for us to destroy it. 2 hours. The stunned crowd of palace masters began to look worried. It had been more than 2 hours since the woman of the Jin kingdom began her rituals to conjure the vortex. Could this not mean that the Grand Formation had fully stabilized? Indeed, what Master Yun said is correct. With only 2 hours, the Grand Formation will be fully secured. That's why I urged you to strike immediately before. It's imperative that you destroy the formation before it nears completion. But now, the voice of the Jiyu king rang grimly in Jian Wushuang's mind. Jian Wushuang grimaced with dread. He turned to Palace Master Yun. Master Yun, what powers does the Grand Formation wield? Will it keep on expanding? Yes. It will grow ceaselessly. Palace Master Yun acknowledged, its reach now will hardly be able to threaten us. But as it grows in size, so does its strength, its powers will draw in and swallow everything around it. With no one to stop it, its growth will never see its end. The vortex will only require a few years to grow into a staggering size. By then, it will be able to destroy this battle fortress and reduce us into shreds. The Green Fire world, having lesser endurance than that of the battle fortress, will surely fall as well. What? The palace masters present were all astounded. With only a few years of maturation, the swirling vortex of energies would be able to destroy even the battle fortress? With the battle fortress and the Green Fire world remaining anchored and immovable, the position of the vortex just in front of the fortress would make the fortress its first and foremost prey when it grew larger. So, the Jin kingdom would only have to wait and watch us being devoured by this vortex when they would not need to even lose any of their soldiers? The Void Temple Master uttered with shock. That is true. Palace Master Yun nodded wearily. Silence filled the hall as the Palace Masters instantly fell into a sullen dismay of fear and dread. They were still reveling in the victory of the first battle not long ago, honestly believing that they finally had the power to challenge the Jin Kingdom. They were confident that they would prevail. But never had they expected that the Jin Kingdom employed the use of something so deadly and terrible. The grand formation of the enduring samsara that was such a terrifying horror. No. We cannot allow it to continue growing. We must destroy it before it destroys us. The Samsara Temple Master bellowed. Aye. We must destroy it at once. The vortex will be our greatest nightmare if not removed. An unconquerable resolution shone in their eyes. In one way or another, the black and white vortex must be stopped. Palace Master Yun, you seem to be most familiar with this grand formation. Do you have any suggestions? The Samsara Temple Master looked towards the Palace Master Yun. The old Palace Master shook his head. I am afraid not. As I have mentioned earlier, the information of the grand formation in the ancient codex is hardly complete. The description of it is all I have. What? We do not know how? There was hushed murmuring and dark glances shared among the masters. Do you know of any way to undo this formation, Jiyu King? Jian Wushuang asked his companion. Despite my adventures in the eternal chaotic world with King Luo Zhan, I have barely any understanding in magical formations. I have once seen with my own eyes another grand formation of the enduring samsara, another one which had grown for millennia. But it was an immensely powerful entity who have destroyed it. The Jiyu King related of his tale. Destroyed with sheer raw power? Jian Wushuang was surprised. You would best find another way yourself. The one who destroyed the grand formation I'd seen was one of the most powerful supreme entities, one who was equal to the founder of the star bloodline. None of you here possess any strengths that could hope to match his. The Jiyu King remarked. Chapter 1222, and Solution. What is to be done then? Jian Wushuang turned angry and growled. Is there nothing we can do, save to watching blindly as the vortex swells and grows until it destroys us? The palace masters wore a sullen and worried look. Should we try for an all-out assault and kill the woman who is still working on the rituals of the grand formation? The Tang Emperor suggested. That would hardly help. Palace Master Yun shook his head heavily. Once enduring samsara formation is formed, even we kill the man who plays the formation, it will continue to expand without an end. Is there really no solution to this? The Samsara Temple Master asked, refusing to relent. I still have much to learn in the skills of conjuring magical formation. There could still be a chance if we have help from someone who is more adept and proficient in the use of these skills. Palace Master Yun admitted. One who is more adept and proficient than you in the skills of using magical formations. The Samsara Temple Master gave a short and bitter laugh. Who else save for you, Master Yun? You are the greatest in the skills of conjuring magical formations. Who else can we look to if you too know not of any solutions? The rest of the palace masters shook their heads furtively in dismay. I may know one. One whose skills in the sorcery of magical formation could outvie even Palace Master Yun. There were gasps and exclamation of shock as a voice rose from the midst of the dejected crowd. It was the Sunrise Sword Emperor. Every eye present instantly turned and trained upon the Sword Emperor. Sword Emperor, is there anyone you know whose skills in the sorcery of magical formation bests even Master Yun? The Samsara Temple Master asked with shock and distraught. There is another whose skill in formation outstrips mine in the green fire world? Even Palace Master Yun himself could hardly believe what he had heard. He had the utmost confidence in the skillfulness of his craft. For a long time, even he himself had truly believed that he was the greatest conjurer of magical formations in the green fire world. Otherwise, he would never have been charged with manning the huge magical formation at the edge of the vast battlefield. Yet, in an abrupt manner, the Sunrise Sword Emperor proclaimed that there was still another whose skills in the craft of using magical formation outvied him. In fact, I do. But whether his skills in the crafts of using magical formation eclipses Master Yun, that I cannot say. But his skills are truly unfathomable, to say the least. The Sunrise Sword Emperor confessed solemnly. Do you still remember the magical barrier in the Hall of Crucified Minds 30,000 years ago? The Hall of Crucified Minds? The memory seemed to strike Palace Master Yun hard. He hastily said, "Of course I do. That was a site of opportunity encountered by us 30,000 years ago. We have found plenty of treasures and resources there, and I remember the powerful magical barrier that was holding the hall. You have summoned for my assistance to destroy the barrier when you found the hall back then. The destruction alone had taken me a few hundred years of research, yet I have only accomplished so little. I would require at least more than another millennium before I can truly undo the magical barrier. But it was you. Somehow you had found a way to destroy the barrier, a way which had eliminated the barrier in mere moments." "Indeed," the Sunrise Sword Emperor acknowledged as he smiled. "Indeed, I had found a way to destroy the barrier. But it was taught to me by a mysterious person. A mysterious person who is a true enigma." "An enigma?" Everyone kept their gazes transfixed upon the Sunrise Sword Emperor. "Yes. He exudes a strange presence. It was by chance that I encountered him, and he was apparently studying the craft of magical formations. Knowing that he could be a learned scholar in the craft, I illustrated the magical barriers in the Hall of Crucified Minds and showed it to him. With merely a glance, he could immediately teach me the way of destroying it," the Sunrise Sword Emperor admitted. "What?" Palace Master Yun was instantly astonished by this revelation. "This is impossible. He knew how to destroy that barrier with a mere glance?" The insides of Palace Master Yun squirmed violently with anxiety. For centuries, he had searched, delved, and scrapped through every resource he came across, only to find a mere inkling to which how should the barrier of the Hall of Crucified Minds be removed. Yet, there was one person who had been able to see the weaknesses of the barrier with only one simple look. Is there truly one such conjurer of magical formation who wields such abilities in the Green Fire world? Palace Master Yun challenged immediately. "I speak only the truth. But there is also the possibility that he is familiar with only that particular barrier. But still, just as I have said before, the man is strange and unusual." The Sword Emperor clearly admired the stranger greatly. "Be that as it may, we have no other options but to implore his help. He may be able to provide us with ways to destroy the grand formation of the enduring samsara." Palace Master Yun remarked quickly. "Sword Emperor, where is he now? This mysterious stranger?" The Samsara Temple Master asked with haste. "Sadly, I know nothing of the person's origins. I only know that he exudes a most unusual aura. He was of the Eternal Realm when I met him, that I am sure of. But even I, who was a Universe Master then, could not fully sense the full extent of his powers," the Sunrise Sword Emperor revealed. But there was one man amongst the crowd of dazed spectators who jumped with recognition. It was Jian Wushuang. A man who appeared to be of the Eternal Realm, yet not even the Sunrise Sword Emperor could truly discern his full powers. Could it be? Is he not Sword Emperor? Jian Wushuang looked immediately to the Sunrise Sword Emperor. "The mysterious stranger you mentioned, is he called Xianxia?" "Xianxia." The Sunrise Sword Emperor shook his head. "I do not know the person's real name." Jian Wushuang immediately pressed on. "Have you given him a token that contained 3 sword essences as repayment of the favor when he had taught you about the ways to remove the barrier of the Hall of Crucified Minds?" "Yes." "How did you know that?" The Sunrise Sword Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang with shock and surprise. Despite hearing the Sword Emperor's words, they did not register into the mind of Jian Wushuang, whose face instantly turned eerie. This stranger, although outwardly an Eternal Realm practitioner back then, was able to notice the ways to destroy the powerful barrier of the Hall of Crucified Minds with a mere look. His true powers were so unfathomable that not even the Sunrise Sword Emperor, who was then a Universe Master, could not fully gauge his full greatness. Most importantly, the Sunrise Sword Emperor had given him a token that contained 3 sword essences for the favor he has been accorded. The details have fully illustrated the identity of the mysterious stranger. "Everyone, if I am right, I believe I know the person whom the Sword Emperor spoke of," Jian Wushuang declared. "You know him?" The eyes of the other palace masters twinkled with hope as they turned to look at Jian Wushuang at once. "I not only know him. In fact, he is my teacher," Jian Wushuang croaked hoarsely. "Your master." The epiphany took everyone by surprise. He is your master. Even the Sunrise Sword Emperor turned to stare at Jian Wushuang, his shock and bewilderment hardly concealed. Indeed he is. The token that you have given him, he had passed it on to me. I was then a fresh student in martial skills who was still powerless and weak. The 3 sword essences you have imbued into the token had saved me many times. Jian Wushuang revealed with a smile. That is great. The Sunrise Sword Emperor beamed with delight. Send word to your teacher at once, Jian Wushuang. We need to see if he has any solution to break the enduring samsara formation. Understood. I will send word right away. Jian Wushuang nodded. Chapter 1223. Instructions. Teacher. Jian Wushuang communicated with his mentor. Yes. It did not take long for Xianxia to respond. Second senior brother has gone. Jian Wushuang said with grief. I know it already. Xianxia exhaled lightly and continued. All fates are predestined. It was his inescapable destiny. I cannot help it, too. Jian Wushuang heaved a heavy and sorrowful breath as well. That should hardly be the only matter you reach out to me for, is it not? Xianxia said. Indeed, teacher. Jian Wushuang answered. There is a problem that I need your help with. Problem? Continue. Xianxia replied, his tone still cool and indifferent as ever. Xianxia had 4 disciples, all of which had reached the level of Tao masters, most notably Jian Wushuang, who was now one of the strongest warriors of the Green Fire world. But never had he requested for favors from his disciples. Rather, it was his students who had repeated reach to him for help. Well, the problem is. Jian Wushuang then explained the problem and situation of the battlefield to his teacher. Enduring samsara formation? Xianxi's brows twitched with interest. I see that the monarch of the Jin kingdom has expended a great deal this time to have employed a magical formation of such magnitude and destruction. Enduring samsara formation is hardly a small problem. Indeed it is, teacher. That is why I have only you to request for help from. Jian Wushuang answered. That will hardly be a problem. Enduring samsara formation itself is hardly invulnerable. Xianxia remarked. So there are indeed ways to stop it? Jian Wushuang asked, with relief and joy brimming in his heart. Enduring samsara formation is, in essence, a formation comprised of 2 completely different energies of opposing nature being harnessed in an endless cycle. The formation can be easily destroyed by disrupting the cycle or completely reversing the cycle itself. Xianxia explained as he smiled thinly. I can think of 6 different ways to destroy it. What? Jian Wushuang blurted with astonishment. What is it, Jian Wushuang? The palace masters standing around him noticed the clamor and looked in his way. My teacher had just told me that there's 6 ways to destroy enduring samsara formation. Jian Wushuang explained. His words left them speechless and stunned. Palace Master Yun's eyes widened into the size of eggs as he took in the words with disbelief. They had been enduring both despair and disappointment as their desperate search for ways to destroy the enduring samsara formation but had yielded no results. Yet, unexpectedly, the teacher of Jian Wushuang revealed that there were 6 methods of destroying it. There are indeed 6 different ways to destroy enduring samsara formation. But with the current strength of the Green Fire world, I'm afraid there is only one way. Xianxia communicated. What way? Jian Wushuang asked again anxiously. As long as the formation could be destroyed, even one single way was all they need for now. Listen to me. Illustrate for me the profile of the swirling vortex of the formation. Xianxia instructed. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. With his magical powers, Jian Wushuang drew an image of the vortex as he stood in the hall, as instructed by Xianxia. The magical formation might look ordinary to the eye, like a harmless vortex of swirling black and white fumes. But in truth, the formation had hidden within itself a lot of intricacies which made it a very powerful and complex sorcery. So complicated was its conjuration that even Palace Master Yun could not find out its weakness for now. With the image completed, Xianxi's voice came to him again. Remember these 4 points I show you. Xianxia pointed to Jian Wushuang 4 different points upon the grand formation. Remember this 4 points. These are the pillars that sustain the grand formation. At the centermost part between all 4 points lies the fatal pressure point of the formation. I will now pass on to you another set of skill, a sword formation that requires 4 persons. Xianxia instructed with great detail. A sword formation? Jian Wushuang gasped with wonder. The enduring samsara formation becomes virtually invulnerable once it reaches full maturity. Even with the knowledge of its pressure point, you will also require a powerful force to fully threaten it. None of you in the green fire world possess of such strength. That is why you can only rely on a sword formation. Xianxia elaborated on his instructions. Understood, teacher. Jian Wushuang answered. Xianxia then taught Jian Wushuang the skill set needed for the sword formation. Now that you have the knowledge to use the sword formation, you will have 4 people standing upon the 4 points I have instructed to you earlier and attack the pressure point in unison. This will allow you to destroy the grand formation. Xianxia directed. Remember, you have to reduce the duration needed to fuse all 4 of your powers. Tarry any longer, and the grand formation will grow stronger and stronger. Not even I will be able to help it if everything is too late. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, teacher. Jian Wushuang cried gratefully. There is no need for thanks. This will be a very perilous and trying hour for you and your 2 senior brothers. Just be careful. That is enough for me. Xianxia left him a smile as he terminated the connection of their communication. How was it, Jian Wushuang? The palace masters standing around him all looked at him hopefully. Jian Wushuang exhaled lightly and gazed around him. Loudly, he announced, "My teacher has taught me the skill set for using a sword formation. With it, we shall be able to destroy the grand formation of the enduring samsara formation." A sword formation? The palace masters around him could hardly believe their ears. Master Yun, you are the most gifted and the most learned in the skills of conjuring magical formations. This is the sword formation that my teacher had just taught me to use. Would you please have a look and see if it will work? Jian Wushuang recorded the teachings of his mentor into writing and showed it to Palace Master Yun. Knowing that there might be doubt and skepticism from the many palace masters present despite his own complete faith in his teacher, Jian Wushuang had divulged the method instructed to him by his Xianxia will first have a look. Palace Master Yun said, and he immediately began poring through the details. The assembly of palace masters waited in silence, as did Jian Wushuang, as they hoped for the best. After some time, Palace Master Yun finally came to a conclusion. Jian Wushuang. The elderly palace master turned to face Jian Wushuang. Suddenly, right before the staring eyes of the entire assembly, he bowed respectfully to Jian Wushuang. Master Yun, what are you doing? Jian Wushuang uttered with shock. The entire crowd around them was instantly stunned. Palace Master Yun rose to his feet and smiled. The respects I paid were not for you, but your teacher. It is he who has given us of the green fire world a glimmer of hope. A glimmer of hope. The news brought joyous anticipation of optimism to everyone around. The words of Palace Master Yun had affirmed that Xianxia's instruction would work in destroying the grand formation. Indeed? It will work? The Samsara Temple Master asked with impatiently. Jian Wushuang's teacher is, without doubt, one of the greatest masters in the skills of using magical formations. Even the most complex grand formation of the enduring samsara have been easily dissected and examined with such ease to him. Even the sword formation that he had taught was exceedingly complicated. The grand formation would most likely be destroyed as long as we follow the instructions he had left for the sword formation. Palace Master Yun announced. Chapter 1224, The Quadruple Supreme Sword Formation. It will most likely work. The palace masters around instantly erupted with cheers and applause at the confirmation of Palace Master Yun. That is great. Jian Wushuang's teacher is invincible in the skills of using magical formations. Since we have the plans now, let not lose any more time. Some of the palace master urged anxiously. Let's not be hasty. Palace Master Yun waved dismissively before he continued, composed and reserved as he was. The methods proposed here will work. The sword formation that Jian Wushuang's teacher has imparted to him is also complex and powerful. But there is a strict requirement for the 4 persons who will operate the formation. Ah! The sudden remark made everyone look at him. It is called the quadruple supreme sword formation. It requires 4 completely different sword principles that conflict with each other. This means that the 4 people operating the formation will each have to create a mighty sword principle of their own. What's more, the 4 would have to at least be universe masters. Palace Master Yun explained gravely. Create the most mighty sword principle? And they have to be at least a universe master? The palace masters present were all taken aback by the sudden notice of predicaments. It would hardly be a hindrance if only the strengths of universe masters were required. Unlike 80 years ago, the current Green Fire world has produced more than 20 universe masters, all of whom could have been easy candidates for the sword formation. But they now encountered a conundrum. The 4 chosen warriors would have to create a most powerful sword principle. The creation of the strongest sword principle, which was a feat of intense difficulty. The strongest sword principle had always remained a myth in the Green Fire world. There has only been a handful of people who have been able to create sword principles of such tremendous power and potency in 40 million years. But now, they needed 4 such virtuosos of martial skills, all of whom must be capable of forging the strongest sword principle. This was an impossible task. Where in the entire Green Fire world are we going to find such people? Red Lotus asked absent-mindedly. Even the rest of the palace masters have turned sullen and dejected. But Jian Wushuang, hardly beaten, rumbled instead, "We have. There are 4 such warriors in the Green Fire world." Ah! This made everyone look at him. The Sunrise Sword Emperor and I have both once created the strongest sword principles of our own. In fact, we have forged 2. Moreover, I have an additional original body which wields also the strength of a universe master. I alone can operate 2 of the 4 points of the quadruple supreme sword formation. With the Sunrise Sword Emperor, we will now have 3 points covered. Jiang Wushuang said. That is true. The eyes of the assembled masters twinkled once more with hope. Jian Wushuang had displayed the prowess of his 2 original bodies in the battle before. Despite not fully equal in strength, both of his bodies possessed the strength of universe masters. With the 2 strongest sword principles of his creation at hand, his original bodies could adequately man 2 of the 4 points of the sword formation. Your original bodies do possess the requirements. As long as the sword principles you wield are different and the bodies are able to act as separate entities. Palace Master Yun nodded at his assent. But we are still short of 1 more. Red Lotus frowned with distress. Everyone. Please forget not my father, who has created also the strongest sword principle of his own. Jian Wushuang announced. Your father. The rest of the assembled masters were surprised. Jian Nantian. Another prodigy in swordsmanship whose talents and skills were no less wanting if compared to Jian Wushuang and the Sunrise Sword Emperor. It was due to an injury which he had suffered during his youth that his potential has waned. Then again, he was still a powerful swordsman whose strength none dared question nor challenge. It was no secret that Jian Nantian had once forged a strongest sword principle of his own. But it was due to his long years of wandering that his name did not come to the mind of the rest of the warriors of the Green Fire world. His travels that have brought him out of the domain of the Green Fire world and the emergence and fame of his own son, Jian Wushuang, had partially made him a forgotten myth. Jian Wushuang, your father has reached the level of Universe Master? Palace Master Yun looked to him inquiringly. Indeed, he has. But the voice did not come from Jian Wushuang. Rather, it was the Samsara Temple Master who had answered in Jian Wushuang's stead. Being the teacher of Jian Nantian, the Samsara Temple Master was also aware of Jian Nantian's situation. During the preparations for war, we of the Green Fire Palace have amassed huge quantities of Nirvana elixirs. It was these elixirs which have helped bolster the ranks of our Universe Masters. Knowing that Jian Nantian himself possessed remarkable potential, I knew that it is very likely that he will be able to reach the level of Universe Master. Hence I have given him one of the elixirs and he has achieved success. It's just that he has yet to reach the Green Fire Palace. The Samsara Temple Master explained. The Green Fire Palace was extremely stringent in its distribution of Nirvana elixirs. Only holy masters who were close to achieving the rank of Universe Master would receive the elixirs as a supplement. With 1 Nirvana elixir, Jian Nantian had managed a breakthrough back then. The Sunrise Sword Emperor, although possessing strength equal to that of a universe master, was only a holy master. He had consumed one of the 4 Nirvana elixirs procured by the Green Fire Palace during their battle for the Loyalty Palace. Alas, his efforts had yet to bear fruit. The Nirvana elixirs could only be consumed once. If its effects had yielded only failures, additional consumption of the elixir would hardly help. I have earlier communicated with my father. He will come to join us in this battle once he has made necessary arrangements for my mother. Jian Wushuang explained. That is great. Palace Master Yun beamed with delight. Pray to send word that he hasten. With him, you and the Sunrise Sword Emperor you shall operate the quadruple supreme sword formation. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded and left to deliver another message to his father. For years, Jian Nantian and Ji Wuming had been wandering around from glen to glen upon the wide swords of the Green Fire world, enjoying their travels across the Void Continent, the Samsara Continent and many other ancient worlds. But he had interrupted his travels ever since word of the fateful war between the Green Fire world and the Jin Kingdom came to him. He began to make arrangements for Ji Wuming and prepared himself for the battles ahead. He was, after all, a member of the Green Fire world. With the Nirvana elixir which had helped propel him into the ranks of Universe Master, the current Jian Nantian was also one of the most formidable warriors of the Green Fire world. Receiving words from Jian Wushuang, he immediately set off for the battlefield. With only a few days, he reached the battle fortress. Father! Jian Wushuang could hardly suppress a smile as he beheld the proud and stern man before him who was his father. Jian Wushuang could distinctly feel that his father's presence was no longer what it was through his years of wandering. The Jian Nantian of old held Ji Wuming dear to his heart, constantly concerned about her well-being. But his years of traveling with her seemed to have mellowed him out. Mother is well? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Jian Nantian nodded. In truth, it hardly makes any difference. None will be spared from the merciless onslaught of the Jin Kingdom should we lose this battle. We will not lose the battle, father. Jian Wushuang remarked vehemently. Indeed. Because we cannot afford any failure. Jian Wushuang agreed and smiled. The father and son shared a few words before they joined Sunrise Sword Emperor in studying the quadruple supreme sword formation. Chapter 1225. The Fire Puppet. It was in a dark, vast expanse. This was the Oblivion Palace, the site where Jian Wushuang had fought against the Celestial Master Malignity in a fierce and furious duel. It was in the dark hemlock of the huge darkness in the Oblivion Palace that Jian Wushuang's 2 original bodies, Jian Nantian and the Sunrise Sword Emperor, were standing together. A token hung in mid-air before them. In it was the instructions to operate the quadruple supreme sword formation. This is the quadruple supreme sword formation? A formation that combines our attacks into one? Jian Nantian asked as studying it curiously. Indeed, it combines our powers and amplifies it greatly if we are able to bring out its greatest potential. With the powers of this sword formation, we will be able to unleash a force that will even surpass that of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom and destroy the grand formation by striking at its pressure point. Jian Wushuang explained. I see. Let us hasten then. We must master the skills of using this sword formation as fast as we can. The Sunrise Sword Emperor said. Indeed, time is of the essence. Jian Nantian nodded somberly. Immediately, the 4 began their rehearsals in the midst of the shrouding darkness. In this dimension, the 4 could practice freely without fear of being disturbed. Knowing that time was a luxury for them, they trained and rehearsed for night and day without rest. Time fleeted by swiftly. With a blink of an eye, so passed a year. An uneasy peace had endured quietly in the past year between the Jin Kingdom and the Green Fire world. There had not been any clashes or disputes between both factions, not even the most insignificant conflict. The only jot of unrest lied only with the black and white swirling mass of energy that has been ceaselessly spinning thousands of miles away from the battle fortress. One could hardly remember its feebleness when it was first conjured a year ago. But the vortex had outgrown its original size in leaps and bounds in merely 12 months that it was now a gargantuan monstrosity. Within the fastness of the Oblivion Palace. Attack! Thunderous cries came from four corners of the sword formation in unison as the figures brandished their blades as one. 4 jets of sword essences shot into the air. The 4 geysers of energies poured with incredible strength, shuddering with terrifying force. The bolts of energies tore through the air and came down together and bombarded the empty space at the center of the 4. Boom! The fabric of space at the center tore asunder by the huge force, forming a void that threatened to engulf all mass and matter around it. Jian Wushuang's 2 original bodies, Jian Nantian and the Sunrise Sword Emperor, regarded with cold indifference at their handiwork. Almost there. Jian Wushuang could not help a smile of satisfaction. The magic of this sword formation is really complex that it has taken a year and countless hours of practice for us to fully grasp the subtle finesse needed to properly operate this formation. Jian Nantian smiled. We can hardly wait no longer. We have expended a year's time. Despite not having a perfect mastery of the formation has been able to produce a peak yield of energy with our current skills. That should be enough. The Sword Emperor remarked. I concur. Jian Nantian nodded. Let us prepare ourselves then. We strike tomorrow. Jian Wushuang proclaimed. Very well. The Sword Emperor and Jian Nantian both agreed. The next day, the forces of the Green Fire World assembled at the edges of the fortress. Shielded by the magical barriers of the battle fortress, they looked over and saw the gargantuan vortex swirling menacingly before them. The vortex now spanned thousands of kilometers wide like a terrifying and monstrous abomination. Yet despite its size, the black and white spinning vortex was still growing at blinding pace. In only a year, it has grown to such horrifying bulk, reaching for thousands of kilometers, and yet it still grows. If given another year to grow, I wager it will enlarge into a terrible mammoth in hundreds of millions of kilometers wide. Palace Master Yun moaned gravely. Hundreds of millions of kilometers wide? The warriors of the Green Fire World were all shocked with the ominous premonition. It was understandable, for even Universe Master needs some time to travel across such vast distances. Yet, the grand formation before them would grow into such egregious hugeness in only a year. Despite its size, the vortex's drawing force is still yet to fully mature. Universe Masters are able to withstand its pull. We are hardly affected by its force, the battle fortress's protective barriers. But if it were to grow again for another year, the drawing force would increase at least 100-fold. By then, even a Universe Master will not be able to resist its pull and even be instantly obliterated. This battle fortress will also be engulfed by the vortex in 10 years. Palace Master Yun explained with detail. We strike now. We must now lose any more time. Jian Wushuang spoke pensively. Samsara Temple Master, is the puppet fighter ready? It is. The Samsara Temple Master nodding as he waved his hand and summoned a silvery figure that appeared before him. It was a puppet fighter clad in silver armor, armed with a long, silver spear. The puppet fighter bore the appearance of a man of stern demeanor. His eyes showed no emotions, gleaming with a cold silvery blush. Is that the puppet fighter that could fight against the monarch of the Jin Kingdom? Jian Wushuang looked at the puppet in silver armor and felt a cold shiver. This puppet fighter was the trump card of the Green Fire World aside from battle formations and the battle fortress. A puppet fighter that could best even the monarch of the Jin Kingdom himself. The flame deity puppet? Moreover, one of the level of silver armor? The Jiyu King's voice rose with amazement from within Jian Wushuang. Do you know what this puppet, Jiyu King? Asked Jian Wushuang. Of course I do. The Jiyu King smiled thinly with pride. The fire deity puppet is well renowned in the eternal chaotic world. It has 3 different classes: copper armor, silver armor, and gold armor. The copper armor counterpart of this puppet possesses strength equal to that of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. Hence, it is likely that this silver armor puppet would be more powerful than the monarch. But sadly, this puppet has been damaged. With the Green Fire World lacking fire crystals, this puppet might not be able to relive its former glory. But still, it should be able to hold off the monarch for some time. That alone, the puppet is capable of. Of course. As long as it is able to buy us time. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly. With the possibility that the monarch could be lurking nearby, They need someone to hold him off while Jian Wushuang and his comrades conjure the sword formation to destroy the enduring samsara formation. But with no one in the green fire world being able to pit evenly against the monarch, they could only rely on the fire deity puppet. Chapter 12:26 Fighting. With the vortex growing to such size, the spaceship of the Jin Kingdom had long retreated farther away, leaving on the monarch of the Jin Kingdom with the woman who was the conjurer of the formation nearby. I will leave this puppet fighter with you, Jian Wushuang. Everything hinges upon your success. Go with our blessings and hope. The Samsara Temple Master said to him gravely. Leave everything to me. Jian Wushuang nodded to him as he received control of the puppet fighter. Father, Sword Emperor, we strike now. Jian Wushuang muttered, his eyes burning with conviction as his second original body materialized beside him. Of course. Having readied themselves, Jian Nantian and the Sunrise Sword Emperor were already waiting for Jian Wushuang's signal. They disembarked the fortress and the four flew towards the eye of the spiraling vortex. But the proud contemptuous conjurer of the vortex, Jushi at its eye instantly noticed their auras once they took into the sky. At last. After 1 year, the green fire world has finally begun to act. She cast her gaze into the distance, studying at the four figures coming at her. What are they thinking of doing? Do they not intend to destroy the formation? But for 1 year they have waited and the grand formation has grown to such size. Is it not too late? She wondered as she felt pleased and confident with herself. Even in the realm of the eternal chaotic world, the enduring samsara formation was flagrantly notorious as a formation that could easily destroy worlds and lay waste to dimensions. Surely its magic could never be easily undone. Moreover, the grand formation had cultivated itself to its current deformity over the past year. It would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to destroy the grand formation now. It is unfathomable that the green fire world, a domain which has little to nil dealings with the eternal chaotic world, would have any way to destroy the grand formation. Surely it could not even be possible. Yet despite her overbearing confidence in her impending success, she was careful enough to immediately contact the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. The monarch had also been hiding nearby for the entire year. Finally, there came an opportunity for him to shake off his year-long restlessness. Jian Wushuang? The monarch had been observing the four approaching figures when they approached. A wicked and sinister smile lined across his face. It was by sheer luck that you have been able to slip through my fingers last time. But you will never be so lucky this time. The four flew closer and closer to the eye of the vortex under the watchful eye of the monarch observing them. We are nearing the eye of the vortex. But why is the monarch of the Jin Kingdom not showing himself? Jian Nantian wondered, his face wearing a solemn expression of concern. Have no worry, father. I have found his approximate position and I am still observing him. I will release the flame deity puppet upon him if he shows himself so that he would not be able to disturb us. The woman is only an ordinary universe master. I have something prepared for her. Jian Wushuang said to him. He had long projected his strength of soul to locate the position of the disguised monarch who could still be oblivious to the vulnerability of his concealment. This was the advantage of using his strength of soul. The strength of soul was a form of energy most powerful and potent. It was only through his inverse cultivation that Jian Wushuang had been able to harness such powers. Then again, this was merely a fraction of the strength's full potential and faculties. I see he can wait no more. Jian Wushuang noticed, the edge of his lips curling. His senses had picked up the movements of the monarch who was now coming at them stealthily. Ha ha ha. Despite possessing strength greater than that of mine, the monarch intends to put me to death by using camouflage and ambush. Hardly a conduct befitting that of a king. Jian Wushuang chuckled with disdain. He waited until the monarch was about thousands of kilometers away before he threw his arms outwards. A silvery flash of light shot from the folds of his sleeve. Boom! The flame deity puppet emerged imperiously with a strong and terrifying aura that poured forth with the force of a broken dam an indomitable and staggering presence which could deflate even a universe master such as the Samsara Temple Master himself. His cold eyes flared with a silver glint, training upon the monarch of the Jin Kingdom under the commands of Jian Wushuang. He began to move, striding forward towards the monarch. With one single step, The puppet defied all laws of physics as his step landed him directly in front of the monarch. He had covered thousands of kilometers with one single step. The tip of his silvery spear rose like a bolt of lightning as the puppet brandished the weapon and stabbed furiously at the monarch. What did they do? Even the monarch himself was taken aback by the sudden haste of the puppet's attack. He had not expected Jian Wushuang to have locked onto his position, nor had he expected that he would be under attack suddenly. Swift and strong was the stroke unleashed by the puppet that even the monarch broke into cold sweat. This unknown warrior possessed strength hardly inferior to his. In fact, it could even be stronger than his. HMPH. The monarch grunted with defiant rage and summoned into his grasp his black spear. The long polearm gleamed with a supple blush as it appeared, heeding its master's call. My weapon, the spear of the secluded rainbow. The eyes of the monarch sparkled with malice as he swung his spear in an arc and it collided ferociously with the silvery spear. Clang! Steel grated against steel as the ruthless and brutish gnashing of metals produced angry sparks. The sheer explosive force caused by the collision threw the fabric of space around the weapons into disarray. The monarch's look turned into one of ugliness and rage as he was thrown backward by the explosion. He staggered a few steps frantically. In less than a dozen steps each step he took sent him thousands of kilometers away. Instead, the flame deity puppet was hardly affected by the blast. The silvery armor-clad figure merely paused and threw himself forward, hurtling towards the monarch for another bout. The silver-armored puppet fighter does indeed live up to its name. To think that he could best the monarch in strength and power. Jian Wushuang was gleeful. He looked at his companions and said, "The puppet fighter has bought us time. Let us strike now." Very well. The Sword Emperor and Jian Nantian both agreed. As they full well knew, they now held in their hands the very fate of the entire Green Fire world. The survival of the Green Fire world was hinged upon their success. But if they were to fail, the vortex of the grand formation of the enduring samsara would continue growing and the Green Fire world would be engulfed by it. Attack! With the cue of Jian Wushuang's thunderous battle cry, his two original bodies, Jian Nantian and the Sunrise Sword Emperor split. The four figures streaked rapidly through the air and swiftly assumed their positions according to the sword formation as instructed by Xianxia. As he flew, Jian Wushuang threw another wary glance at the proud woman Zhu Shi. Being an ordinary universe master, I doubt your powers will be able to obstruct us. But it would be best that you are kept from us. Jian Wushuang muttered and flicked wrist again. A hulking figure emerged out of thin air into view. Keep her occupied so that she cannot be in our way, Fu Yi. It would be better too if you can take her alive. Jian Wushuang commanded him. Jian Wushuang had made such arrangements as a precautionary measure. In the event of failure, they might still be able to wring answers out of Zhu Shi. She might be in possession of the knowledge to remove the Grand Formation, seeing as she was the conjurer of the Grand Formation. Fu Yi's eyes twinkled once as he acknowledged Jian Wushuang's order. A huge battle axe appeared in his grasp as he pounced at Zhu Shi. Ah! So you lot have come to destroy the Grand Formation and you have brought along a puppet fighter which is strong enough to fight against Lord Jin Feng. But your efforts will all be for naught no matter how hard you try. Zhu Shi smiled wickedly to herself. Seeing as Fu Yi came charging at her, she drifted into the undulations of the churning energies rolling around the vortex. Chapter 1227. The Turning Tide. The flame deity puppet was holding off the monarch of the Jin kingdom. Whereas Zhu Shi was busy evading from the pursuits of Fu Yi. The path was clear. There was no one else between Jian Wushuang with his companions and the gargantuan black and white vortex. In only fractions of a second, Jian Wushuang's two original bodies, Jian Nantian and the Sunrise Sword Emperor, reached their designated positions. My original bodies are ready. How are you? Jian Wushuang asked. I am in position. Jian Nantian replied. So am I. The Sunrise Sword Emperor nodded as well. Very well. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang notified his companions. 4 jets energies shot into the sky, the sword essences released by the 4 figures, streaking through the air towards the eye of the spinning vortex. Zhu Shi flitted back and forth through the rapid flows of energies as she evaded from the rampaging Fu Yi. But she instantly took notice of the 4 streaking sword essences tearing through the sky. Ah! A squinch of a doubt was evident upon her face as she felt a foreboding dread. The positions of the four seemed unusual. From the trails of the sword essences, she could clearly sense the positions of the four people, knowing that they must be part of an intricate design. The four positions represent the most vital points of the grand formation. These 4 points connect the backbone of the entire formation, which leads to the eye of the vortex, which is also the heart of the grand formation. How is it possible that they have found these 4 positions? Xi's expression began to turn ugly. She had been basking in her hubris-soaked confidence, trusting fully that none from the green fire world would never be able to adequately read the grand formation and point out its secrets. But now, however, realizing that her enemies might have discovered her secret, Xi began to feel fear and desperation creeping into her. At the same time, she began to realize the motives of Jian Wushuang and his companions as they launched their attacks. Is that a battle formation they are using? One which consolidates their attacks and concentrates their power? She could hardly believe what she saw, the stabbing feeling of fear reaching its climax. They have completely seen through the secrets of the grand formation, and they intend to destroy it by using a sword formation to focus their attacks upon its eye. She searched frantically for answers to the enemy's gambit that now threatened her plans. She cast a swift look at the monarch of the Jin kingdom, who was still far away, intending to reach out for his help. But she immediately found that the monarch was being held in a fierce battle against the flame deity puppet. Not only the monarch could not come to her help, but he himself was also in danger of losing in battle. Damn it! How is it possible that somebody from the green fire world is able to find the weaknesses of my grand formation? Who is it? She growled frantically. Jian Wushuang and his companions were already channeling their powers together as one. The enduring samsara formation would be able to bring out its greatest potential and deal a fatal stroke to the grand formation once their stroke fell. This cannot continue. I will lose the rewards promised to me by Lord Jin Feng if the grand formation fails. Knowing full well that her earlier efforts could well sink or swim, Xi's look turned dark as she realized she must strike quickly and hard. She turned and moved, heading towards the direction of the Sunrise Sword Emperor. Despite being hardly skillful in martial techniques, she was armed to the teeth with various means for unconventional combat and movement techniques, allowing her to dart and swoop deftly away from Fu Yi, who was rapidly losing her. Swiftly, Xi bore down on the Sword Emperor with Fu Yi far behind. By now, the four were already in the final phase of their attack. But she appeared suddenly behind the Sunrise Sword Emperor. Her figure had barely materialized when she crushed a mysterious token she held in her hand. The token crumbled into pieces, and boom! A deafening and terrible explosion erupted. An overwhelming force surged in that very instant as 3 golden dragons appeared behind the Sunrise Sword Emperor. The slithery dragons intertwined together, fusing into a bolt of golden flash that struck and hit the Sunrise Sword Emperor. What? The Sword Emperor's eyes opened wide in disbelief. He had noticed Xi creeping near him. But being in the most critical phase of their attack, he had chosen to endure whatever attacks that Xi would unleash at him, believing that the woman's blow would hardly be able to endanger him. With the complement of his protective raiments and treasures, he had chosen to weather the enemy's attack in order to maintain his hold on their offense. The Sword Emperor, as a powerful warrior himself, would at most suffer severe injuries. He had not expected that Xi's powers would be able to kill him. Only never did he expect that Xi had used a magical token she had in her keeping. Worst still, the powers contained within the magical token was stronger even than a blow by the monarch of the Jin kingdom himself. The golden projectile hit him squarely without him being able to react. The blow struck a hole in his chest, crushing his heart as his life began to ebb away. I. Frozen in his stance, the Sword Emperor uttered a few incomprehensible mumbles. His gaze became blank and distant as he began to lose consciousness, his aura plummeting into nothingness. He began to lose control of his body, beginning to fall. A look of calm and serenity crept into his eyes as if he was released from long years of toil and torment. With his final ounce of strength, he left his final words to his comrades Jian Wushuang, Jian Nantian, and the host of warriors who had been watching intently from the battle fortress. I'm sorry. It was merely 2 words, yet these were 2 words that bore a saddening weight of pain and anguish. The Sunrise Sword Emperor breathed his last as his eyes blinked shut finally. With life left from his body, his corpse was drawn into the vortex and subsequently devoured. The final moments of his life were witnessed by Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian, as well as the warriors within the battle fortress. None of them could barely move. They have painfully witnessed, with their own eyes, how he was killed by the golden flash of light that penetrated his body like needle passing through a cloth, and they have watched, with excruciating agony, how he was being swallowed into the vortex when he had finally passed. Rage and fury came swiftly like lightning. Sword Emperor. Sunrise Sword Emperor. Unforgivable. Screams of anger and rage thundered from within the fastness of the battle fortress. No. Not far away, the original bodies of Jian Wushuang jointly released a booming roar that illustrated both his grief and wrath. The Sunrise Sword Emperor. The most glimmering beacon of hope of the Green Fire world before the emergence of Jian Wushuang. The undisputable sword cultivator of the highest order and the greatest prodigy in combat skills ever known. Being an ordinary practitioner of martial skills and a holy master, these odds had never stopped him from cultivating and fusing his two strongest sword principle as one to harness powers comparable to that of a universe master. He was the third behind Jian Wushuang and Ji Wuming, who had been pegged as future chieftains of the Green Fire Palace, prodigious talents who could one day stand eye to eye against the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. Blessed with unique talents and shouldering the hopes of many, he would long have embarked upon a pilgrimage into the eternal chaotic world to try reaching for greater heights, if not for the strifes which have plagued the Green Fire world. And now, in order to destroy the grand formation of the enduring samsara for the good of the entire Green Fire world, the Sunrise Sword Emperor had breathed his last, only because he had chosen to sustain the synchrony for the sword formation to function. And now, right under the eyes of the horde of warriors of the Green Fire, he had fallen with utter ignominy. Chapter 1228. The Fall of the Sunrise Sword Emperor. Is he dead? The events did not escape the observation of the cold and contemptuous woman as she smiled wickedly, evidently satisfied with the results of her review. This token was given to me by that most prodigious senior brother of mine. It contains the explosive powers of his strike. You should be proud to have fallen under his stroke. Outrageous. Jian Wushuang stared angrily at the woman as he cursed through gritted teeth, seething with intense fury and malice boiling within him. But he quickly repressed his rage and bloodlust. We must leave now. Jian Wushuang roared with exasperation. His original bodies followed behind Jian Nantian as they withdrew back to the battle fortress. Jian Wushuang and his father were fully aware that with the fall of the Sunrise Sword Emperor, they have lost the capability to use the quadruple supreme sword formation to destroy the monstrous vortex. Hence, they could only retreat back into the battle fortress and make another plan. Jian Wushuang did indeed want to immediately execute the woman, Zhu Shi, for the sacrilege she had committed. But the distance between them and Zhu Shi's prowess in escaping have left him with hardly any other choice. Despite their discontentment and rage, they could withdraw back to the fortress. Still, even the notion of a retreat was not without difficulty. You will never get away. It was the monarch of the Jin Kingdom who had snarled at them. Despite being desperately defending himself against the fire puppet earlier, he was slowly regaining the upper hand. The monarch had noticed that the puppet fighter was losing strength rapidly. This is bad. The fire gems are nearly depleted. Jian Wushuang became jittery with anxiety. He had been controlling the fire puppet, he would surely know about its situation. The remaining fire gems would only allow the fire puppet to continue operating for merely seconds. And with that few seconds, the monarch could easily catch up to them and strike them down like predators swooping down on their prey. Few seconds. Jian Wushuang's gaze turned cold as he searched wildly for solutions, and one came to him instantly. Keep the monarch occupied. Fire puppet. Jian Wushuang barked his command while his second original body veered off their way back to the fortress. Instead, the original body flew towards the fire puppet who was still in combat against the monarch. Having received his orders, the fire puppet fought to his utmost as the last remaining fragments of the slowly burned. It had bought Jian Wushuang a few seconds of time. With its energies exhausted, the puppet froze in its movements, hanging motionless in mid-air. With his long-awaited opening, the monarch hurled himself forward, eager to catch up to Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian. But Jian Wushuang's first original body and Jian Nantian were still thousands of kilometers away from the fortress. It was a distance that usually passed swiftly for him. Yet, now, the journey back to the fortress seemed like an eternity. You have been fortunate to slip through my fingers once. Do you think I will let you slip by again? The monarch growled viciously, his face gleeful with malice. His figure streaked with an explosive speed as he chased after his prey as he imagined himself dealing the final blows to them both. However, at this moment, swish! A flicker of light blinded the monarch momentarily as he braced himself. It was Jian Wushuang's second original body who had turned back earlier. Okay. The monarch wore a dark, ugly look as he beheld his new target briefly. Eager to continue his chase, the spear in his grasp stabbed at the original body with the speed and intensity of a striking serpent. With hardly any incident, the monarch instantly drove his spear through the second original body. He then cast a look forward, ready to continue his pursuit. But suddenly, explode! There was a strange, frenzied expression upon the face of Jian Wushuang's second original body. Boom! The second original body exploded into smithereens. Shockwaves from the explosion rippled through the air, rolling towards all directions. Self-detonation. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom gasped incredulously. He had not foreseen that Jian Wushuang would be eager to come to such lengths, to sacrifice one of his doppelgangers just to stop him. Shaken violently by the shock wave himself, the monarch was momentarily thrown off balance. He readied himself to continue his pursuit, only to find that he was too late. Jian Wushuang had escaped. He's escaped again. This wretch is indeed a slithery one. The monarch barked angrily, his face darkened with rage. The news that a Dao master had been able to slip past his clutches not once, but twice, would be tremendously pernicious to his name. Lord Jin Feng. Zhu Shi reappeared at the side of the monarch, looking at him with an amused smirk. This Jian Wushuang has the most remarkable fortune indeed. Twice he has defied you, and yet twice he is able to escape. HMPH. The monarch merely snorted indignantly without muttering any words. The pair stood wordless and motionless for a brief moment. The monarch turned and glanced at Zhu Shi. What happened earlier, Zhu Shi? Zhu Shi's features immediately turned gloomy with annoyance. I did not expect that the Green Fire world has someone who is able to divine the weaknesses of the enduring samsara formation. The four earlier were trying to use a sword formation by standing above the four vital parts of the enduring samsara formation, ready to strike at its fatal point to destroy it. It was fortunate that I was able to react swiftly and use the token that my senior brother had given to me to kill one of the four. Otherwise, the grand formation would have been destroyed by their hand. Ah! The monarch's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Were you not supremely confident in this enduring samsara formation of yours? How is it possible that its secrets were so easily divined? Zhu Shi merely pursed her lips and frowned, unable to retort against the monarch's mocking words. Never in her life, she had thought the events of this day were possible. HMPH. It is fortunate that the formation still stands, lest it would have been a tremendous waste of my time and resources to have you here. The monarch scoffed. It was clear, through his tone and demeanor, that he has lost great faith and confidence in Zhu Shi and her formation. Please be at ease, Lord Jin Feng. That was merely a last-ditch daring-do of the Green Fire world. They have even put to use a puppet fighter that could nearly best you, only to have achieved nothing. I trust that they are at their wits' end now. Zhu Shi wore a wicked grin once again. That may be true. The monarch nodded. With a flick of his hand, he summoned the fire puppet to his flank. The fire puppet, having exhausted its entire store of fire gems, has now fallen into the hands of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. He had forcibly erased Jian Wushuang's mark that allowed the latter to control the puppet, so that he himself could claim ownership of it. A silver-armored fire puppet. The eyes of the monarch burned hungrily as he identified the puppet fighter. Many treasures abound this battlefield, that even a puppet fighter of such caliber exists. But now, they will all be mine. Just like this puppet. With the puppet now his, the monarch then helped Zhu Shi to subdue Fu Yi and claimed him as well. Chapter 1229. Desperate. A grim mood filled the battle fortress. The battle was supposed to pave a way for the Green Fire World's victory. Instead, they not only failed to break the enduring Samsara formation but also lost the Sunrise Sword Emperor, who was the only flame deity puppet that could hold his own against the Jin Kingdom's monarch. Fu Yi had also been felled by the enemy. Jian Wushuang's second original body was destroyed. They had lost everything. It's over. The Green Fire World is done. We have no hope at all. Cries echoed through the battle fortress. Desperation reared its ugly head. Hopelessness clung to every thought. The morale of the Green Fire World was non-existent. If there was even an ounce of hope, the Green Fire World experts would continue to fight, regardless of the price. Even if they failed, it would have been worthwhile. But there was no more hope. The Green Fire World had no chance of survival. It was going to be swallowed by the big formation. In a magnificent temple, there were about 20 thrones arranged in a circle. Some were occupied, but the others were empty. All the remaining Green Fire World Palace Masters had gathered, but silence filled the chamber and even Jian Wushuang had nothing to say. Occasionally, a Palace Master would glance toward the empty throne near the Void Temple Master. The throne originally belonged to the Sunrise Sword Emperor. But now that he was gone, the throne sat empty. After nearly an hour, Jian Wushuang finally exclaimed, "It's my fault we were defeated." Jian Wushuang clenched both of his fists so tightly that his fingertips cut through his palm. He looked grim as he continued, "I underestimated the woman in the formation. I thought she was just an ordinary Universe Master and that a Universe Master Peak puppet fighter was enough to stop her. But her clever tricks confused my puppet fighter, and she was able to kill the Sunrise Sword Emperor. I underestimated her. Everything that happened is my fault." Remorse racked Jian Wushuang's body. He led the action to break the formation, controlled the flame deity puppet, and deployed the Sunrise Sword Emperor and Jian Nantian. And instead of great victory, they suffered great casualties and lost the flame deity puppet. Jian Wushuang was naturally the one to blame. Hearing Jian Wushuang's words, the Samsara Temple Master next him shook his head and said, "We discussed it together, and acted according to the plan. You just carried out the plan. You alone cannot be blamed for the loss." "Yes. If it wasn't you, someone else would have done the same thing. We can only blame ourselves for underestimating that woman. We thought she only knew about formations and did not expect her to be that capable." The other Palace Masters echoed their agreement. No one would blame Jian Wushuang. He merely acted according to the plan and did not foresee the unexpected. "Shuang'er." Jian Nantian looked at him. "We're all responsible for this. Don't blame yourself. Now is not the time to apologize or to point fingers. We need to think about what to do next." What to do next? At the 4 simple words, the Palace Masters frowned in unison. Jian Wushuang seemed skeptical as well. Since the Sunrise Sword Emperor's death, the Green Fire World didn't have enough experts to form the 4-point sword formation. Even if they did, they needed time to familiarize him with the formation, and by the time they were prepared, the 4-point sword formation would probably still fail to break the spinning vortex. Ji King, you followed King Luo Zhan in the eternal chaotic world for such a long time. You must have learned a lot of things. Do you have a solution? Asked Jian Wushuang. Despite his vast knowledge, Ji King also felt hopeless in the face of the crisis. "I can't." Ji King shook his head, dejected. Jian Wushuang trembled. All the Palace Masters in the temple forced a smile. They had relied completely on the 4-point sword formation breaking the formation and considered it their only chance. Where would they find another strategy? Desperation. The Palace Masters, including the oldest Samsara Temple Master, the Void Temple Master, the Tang Emperor, the Red Lotus Palace Master, and Palace Master Yun were all distraught. Suddenly, they all suggested the insane. "We will fight to the death. Even if the Green Fire World collapses, we'll give the Jin Kingdom hell." Palace Master Yun stood up and roared. "Yes. Trapped beasts can still fight, so let's fight to the end. We'll take them down with us." The Palace Masters shook their fists angrily and madness gleamed in their eyes. "Are we really a trapped beast?" Jian Wushuang frowned. Just then, a message came. "Who is it?" Jian Wushuang was surprised but immediately responded, "Senior brother, Are you looking for me? The message was indeed from his senior brother Xianxia. Junior brother, come out quickly. Xianxia's excited voice beckoned. What is it? Skepticism filled Jian Wushuang's voice. Our master is coming. Xianxia answered. Jian Wushuang's eyes widened in surprise, and he immediately jumped up. Jian Wushuang, has something happened? The palace masters who just decided to sacrifice their lives were confused by his reaction. There's something I have to attend to. Jian Wushuang answered. What's going on? Samsara Temple Master was even more puzzled. It's my master, he's here. Jian Wushuang answered solemnly. Your master? The palace masters were stunned. The master who had deciphered the enduring samsara formation and told them how to break it. The master who even Palace Master Yun admired and respected? Your master told you how to break the formation after receiving your message for help. He must also know that we have failed. If he has come in person, does it mean he has other ideas? The Samsara Temple Master became hopeful. The other Samsara Temple Masters looked at each other excitedly. They had hit a dead end, but with Jian Wushuang's master's arrival, hope grew in their hearts once again. Although the hope was infinitesimal, they would still try to catch it at all costs. Perhaps, the Master of Formation really does have other ways to break the formation. Palace Master Yun exclaimed. Let's meet him together. Right. We should. Following Jian Wushuang, the palace masters exited the temple. Chapter 1230. Master arrives. Inside the battle fortress, many of the strongest people in the green fire world scattered in all corners, and the atmosphere was extremely dull and desperate. At this time, many palace masters, including Jian Wushuang, hurried out from a towering temple. These palace masters all looked a little excited. Green fire world celestial masters and Tao masters saw them on the way. Where are they hurrying to? Have you noticed that they all seem a little excited? Yes, they do. Have they come up with other methods of breaking the formation? Is there still hope for us? Very likely, otherwise they wouldn't have been so excited. The entire battle fortress quickly became noisy. Many celestial masters and Tao masters followed the palace masters and rushed to the center of the battle fortress. In an open space, several figures stood there, including Jian Wushuang's two senior brothers, Xianxia and Bai Hu. At the center, a friendly-looking white-robed man stood. He looked elegant and easygoing. Is that Jian Wushuang's master? Palace masters all fixed their gazes on the white-robed man. At the moment when they saw the white-robed men, they had a strange feeling. His aura was only an eternal realm and seemingly ordinary, but for some reason, they felt something strange. Master! Jian Wushuang came to the white-robed man and respectfully bowed. Xianyi Master! Samsara Temple Master, along with many palace masters, bowed to the white-robed man with respect. They also learned the name Xianyi from Jian Wushuang. They saluted as well. Even if his strength was not that mighty, such a profound master deserved to be respected. Moreover, Xianyi was the green fire world's last hope. Get up. Xianyi waved at Jian Wushuang, looked at Samsara Temple Master and others, then he laughed. You can all get up, I don't deserve it. Master, you came today for the enduring samsara formation, is that right? Jian Wushuang asked directly. Yes. Xianyi faintly nodded. I told you the method of breaking the formation, and I thought that you can crush the enduring samsara formation with it. But you actually failed. So, I have to come by myself. You mean, there are other ways to break it? Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed. Although the enduring samsara formation is a world-shattering formation, it's terrifying because it can evolve for a long time. As for now, it is weak. And it's just a balanced state of two extreme energies, nothing special. We can find ways to break it. Xianyi smiled, looking confident. Hearing this, the present palace masters' faces all lit up. Xianyi implied that he had other methods of breaking the formation. Even if he did not, he was confident to find one. Let's go see the enduring samsara formation. Xianyi smiled. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Xianyi Master, this way please. Samsara Temple Master led the way for Xianxia. The nearby Green Fire World Celestial Masters and Tao Masters all gawked at the sight of this. Who is that person? He's got some real deal. He actually made so many Palace Masters bow to him, and has Samsara Temple Master lead the way for him? But he's just in Eternal Realm. So what? I heard that he is the master of Wushuang Palace Master. He's got a disciple like Jian Wushuang. Do you think he's capable or not? He has great knowledge of formation. He's said to have more knowledge than Palace Master Yun. He came up with the previous method to break the formation, but unfortunately, we underestimated the opponent and failed. Wushuang Palace Master's master? No wonder. He probably came in person for the enduring Samsara formation. The entire battle fortress was discussing secretly. Xianxia was only in the Eternal Realm. In the entire battle fortress, except Jian Wushuang's brother Wang Yuan, everyone else was above the Tao Master level. Normally, any one of them could kill Xianxia. But now, the countless experts in the entire battle fortress all respected him. He was Jian Wushuang's master. Naturally, no one dared to look down on him. Moreover, he had great knowledge of formation. On the way, Xianxia asked causally, "Well, what is your achievement in sword principle now?" "I have now devised 2 of the strongest sword principles and a creation-level sword principle, but unfortunately, I have not found a way to integrate them," answered the disciple. If it was possible, he had already combined them and broke through to be a celestial master who possessed a Dharma body. In that way, he would have been able to challenge the Jin Kingdom monarch, and the Green Fire World would not have been so passive. But he could not find a way to break through. "Don't worry, take your time, everything will be fine." Xianxia smiled and asked again, "Which 3 sword principles have you developed?" "One is the swordplay of coalescence. I've perfected it and devised the strongest sword principle. One is the space-time sword principle, which is ultra-fast. It can affect the power of space-time. It's also a strongest sword principle. The last one is the yin-yang sword principle. It combines yin and yang energy, and it is only a creation-level sword principle." Jian Wushuang answered in detail. "Oh, yin-yang sword principle?" Xianxia cocked one eyebrow and smiled mysteriously. After a few moments, Xianxia came to the edge of the battle fortress following the Palace Masters. Through the restrictions, they saw clearly the spiraling vortex 100,000 miles away. "Master Xianxia, it's the enduring Samsara formation there." Samsara Temple Master pointed to the vortex. "I see." Xianxia looked at the black and white vortex in the distance and faintly smiled. "Fortunately, it has only expanded tens of millions of miles. It is still in its early stage." "Early stage?" Jian Wushuang was surprised. "The larger it expands, the more stable it is. An expansion within 1 billion belongs to the early stage. If it exceeds 1 billion, it will be in the middle stage. By that time, we might fail to break it. But now, there is still a chance," Xianxia explained.